Number 8. Judith Garrett. In September of 2014, 29-year-old Judith Garrett of Northumberland, England, was attending a cycling race in North Wales when the accident occurred. She was there in support of her boyfriend, a competitor in the race, when a cyclist lost control at the bottom of the downhill course, sending his bike hurtling into the crowd. It struck Garrett and launched her back into a tree. She suffered major head injuries as a result of the impact and had to be airlifted to a nearby hospital, where she passed away the following day. Concerns were subsequently raised regarding the safety measures taken by the event's organizers and race marshals on the day of the competition. The steep course sent cyclists racing past crowds at speeds of up to 40 miles per hour. There were separation shoulders installed along the route to ensure attendees didn't stand too close to the raceway. Following Garrett's death, some questioned whether the shoulders were wide enough. A marshal present at the scene of the accident, the race organizer, and the British Cycling Federation were all brought to court on health and safety charges. They were, however, each found not guilty of any wrongdoing. Number 7. Jonathan Denver. 24-year-old Jonathan Denver of Fort Bragg, Northern California, attended a game between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants at AT&T Park on September the 25th of 2013. He was there with his brother and his father, a Dodgers security guard, supporting the LA club in San Francisco's home stadium. The trio left early, as it had become apparent that a Giants win was imminent, and they decided to go to a bar downtown. At roughly 11:30 that night, they left the bar and got involved in a dispute with a group of people leaving a nightclub. Denver had heckled the clubbers because they were wearing San Francisco Giants attire, and an argument broke out with Michael Montgomery, aged 21. After a loud but relatively innocuous shouting match, tensions between the two parties had started to die down. The fight was soon rekindled, however. Authorities were unsure of who'd instigated the second spat, but it ultimately escalated into a physical altercation. Denver and his brother attacked Montgomery, at some point reportedly hitting him over the head with a chair. In the ensuing scuffle, Denver was fatally stabbed. In the investigation that followed, Montgomery was arrested on suspicion of murdering Denver that night. However, San Francisco District Attorney George Gascon eventually cleared him of all charges, concluding that there wasn't definitive evidence to disprove Montgomery's assertion that he was acting in self-defense when he'd stabbed Denver. Number 6. The Bradford City Stadium Fire. During an English League 3rd Division football match between Bradford City and Lincoln City on May the 11th of 1985, a careless spectator attempted to put out his cigarette on the floor of the bleachers, but it slipped through a small crack in the stands. He and his son noticed that smoke had begun to rise from the area it had fallen into, so they poured coffee down there in an attempt to extinguish any potential flame. The plume of smoke only grew larger, so they left to notify a stadium steward. There was a buildup of garbage sitting below the stands which had caught fire when the cigarette fell down there. By the time the man and his son returned with the attendant, a fire had already engulfed their section of the stands. Due to uncharacteristically windy conditions that day, the blaze engulfed the entire stadium within 4 minutes. Large masses of spectators attempted to flee the arena, but many of the exit doors and turnstiles had been locked upon the start of the match. A number of fans were burned alive as they attempted to break through the locked exits. Those in the crowd who'd rushed the field successfully escaped the fire, while many others were trapped in their seats. The fire brigade raced to the stadium, arriving 4 minutes after being notified of the situation. Rescuers struggled to get to the source of the fire, and it took many hours for them to extinguish the flames and retrieve all of the bodies. The fire resulted in 56 deaths and 265 non-fatal injuries. The incident led to widespread safety reforms, and UK stadiums were no longer allowed to use wooden grandstands. A total sum of roughly £20 million was awarded in court to 154 people injured or bereaved by the fire. The identity of the man who initially started the deadly blaze has never officially been confirmed. Number 5. The Spearman parachuting accident. On October the 4th of 1996, a freak accident took the life of a woman at a high school football game in Spearman, Texas. As part of the pre-game ceremonies, a pair of parachutists planned to jump from an airplane and land at midfield with the game ball in hand. Unexpected winds sent one of them off course, and they lost control of the descent as they drew nearer to the field. 2 additional crew members, a husband and wife duo, stood at ground level to catch the others in the event that one of them required assistance with their landing. Unfortunately, the ground crew wasn't paying attention to the wayward parachutists, who subsequently landed directly on top of them. The woman was left unconscious on the sideline for several minutes while a medical professional attempted to resuscitate her. She was subsequently taken to a hospital but died later that night. Her husband suffered a broken arm but was otherwise outside of any real danger. Number 4. The Ellis Park Stadium disaster. Ellis Park Stadium in Johannesburg, South Africa, was the location of a highly anticipated soccer match between the Kaizer Chiefs and the Orlando Pirates. A storied rivalry within the sport, known to draw massive crowds. On April the 11th of 2001, an unprecedented number of spectators made desperate attempts to gain access to the stadium. While the arena's crowd capacity maxed out at 60,000, there were reports that as many as 120,000 people pushed their way inside that day. As a result of the uncontrollable flow of fans, many found themselves trapped beneath the stampede of people rushing to get inside. In an attempt to quell the crowd, security guards fired tear gas canisters into them, but it only made matters worse as panic ensued. The crush resulted in a multitude of injuries and claimed the lives of 43 people. The match was stopped after stadium officials received news of the extensive casualties. All spectators were then sent away so that the victims could be identified and medical attention could be given to those wounded. In the aftermath of the tragic event, authorities discovered that some of the stadium attendants had been bribed to let in more people than was allowed. The disaster was the deadliest sporting accident in South African history, surpassing a 1991 incident that resulted in 42 deaths at a match between the same two teams. Number 3. Justin Hayes and Ronald Lee Homer. On May the 21st of 2008, a baseball spectator at Turner Field in Atlanta, Georgia, fell roughly 60 feet from his seat in the stadium's upper deck, plummeting to the ground-level concourse positioned behind home plate. Justin Hayes, age 25, was attending a game between the hometown Atlanta Braves and the visiting New York Mets when his fatal fall occurred. He had reportedly attempted to slide down the banister of a stairwell when he lost control and went over the edge of the upper deck safety railing. He suffered major injuries to his head as a result of the fall, and although he was transported to Grady Memorial Hospital, there was nothing that could be done to save his life. The police believed alcohol had been a factor in the accident. An eerily similar incident occurred just a few years later, when 29-year-old Ronald Lee Homer fell to his death from Turner Field's upper deck on August the 12th of 2013. Homer's autopsy revealed that his blood alcohol level was roughly twice the legal limit at the time of the fall. His death was eventually ruled a suicide. Homer had previously talked about Justin Hayes' fatal accident with a friend who had begun to suspect that he was having thoughts of self-harm. Today's topic was requested by Drew JVR, Big Dipper 907, and Coconut. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Shannon Stone. During a Major League Baseball game at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington, Texas, a 39-year-old firefighter died in front of his young son. Brownwood resident Shannon Stone had taken his son to a game between the Texas Rangers and the Oakland Athletics on July the 7th of 2011. Rangers' outfielder Josh Hamilton threw a baseball up to Stone in the stands as a souvenir. As he reached out to catch it, Stone leaned over the railing that separates the bleachers from the field. He lost his balance and fell. The firefighter dropped roughly 20 feet and landed on the concrete below. While he survived the initial impact, his condition deteriorated rapidly as he was being transported to a Fort Worth hospital. Within an hour of the fall, he was pronounced dead. Hamilton was distraught upon hearing the news of Stone's passing. The locker rooms for both teams were closed off to reporters after the game, as many of the players were reportedly shaken up by the incident. Number 1. Sabrina Patty. 39-year-old Sabrina Patty of Tampa, Florida, an elementary school teacher and mother of 2, wanted to do something special for her hockey-loving family. The woman and her 2 sons were die-hard supporters of the Tampa Bay Lightning, so she and her husband brought them to their first professional hockey game on April the 14th of 2018. It was a playoff match between the Lightning and the New Jersey Devils at the Amalie Arena in Tampa. Professional hockey stadiums have safety nets installed in order to catch the puck should it careen into the stands. The Patties were sitting in the area where the safety net comes to an end, and there are no protective implements in place. During the game, the puck was launched over the net and into the stands, striking Patty directly in the face. She was taken to a medical area within the facility in order for her injuries to be examined and later transported to Tampa General Hospital. She experienced numbness in the left side of her face, a black eye, and a painful knot on her forehead. Fortunately, Patty survived the incident, and a spokesman for the Lightning issued an apology on behalf of the team. Her attorney claimed that she could have easily lost her eye in the accident and insisted the arena update its safety protocols. However, it's worth noting that fans who attend NHL games enter an agreement that absolves the stadium and the team of any liability for potential injuries. Thanks for watching. Would you rather get free tickets to every regular season game of your favorite NFL team for the rest of your life, or for one Super Bowl that they play in? Let us know in the comments section below.